starting off with the space that we have designated for a seasonal nature table. So I'm not using a table, I'm actually using the top of a 9 bin cube shelf, and I actually have three of these shelves put together to create one big shelving system against the main wall in our schoolroom. So I have this one table laying long ways and then two standing up tall, and so it creates this perfect nook here in the middle for our nature table. For a wall display, I've been using this picture frame that I've had for years, and I bought that off of Amazon. That's to clip pictures on there. And I've put up the Oak Tree Life Cycle poster and banner sequencing cards from my Etsy shop. And that leaf garland is from Dollar Tree. Pocket full of Posey's nursery rhymes. We've been loving those. And then here we have a basket full of our nature finds and goodies from the farm, from the outdoors, our backyard, cotton, dried up mushroom, pumpkin stems, all sorts of good stuff in there. Nesting cups from Michael's, still going very strong. We've had those for a while and the kids love them. And then this is our Waldorf inspired calendar and my peg dolls, and I'll get into that in a moment. Towards the side of the table, we have our Thanksgiving decor. By the way, I will try to have as much of everything linked down below as I can, so check the description box for that. So here's a closer look at the pilgrims and the Native American boy and girl and the turkey that my husband and I made. So he helps with most of the painting, and then I like to accessorize with clothes and hats from wool felt, and these are lots of fun to make. And then I also like to provide just several small wooden containers and lids, because the kids like to make peg homes out of them or hide little treasures in there. These are little wooden mushroom manipulatives that my daughter and I painted to use with our mushroom unit a few weeks back, and then our thankful tree, which is a Thanksgiving tradition in our home. Okay, so a quick disclaimer to make clear that we are not a Waldorf homeschool. I'm not claiming to be a Waldorf educator or professional. While I don't like to classify our schooling, I do tend to lean more towards the Montessori materials and philosophy, but I do take inspiration from anything that makes us happy, anything that we love, anything that is beautiful to us and that fits our home and our style. Okay, finally moving on to the real star of the nature table, and that's our DIY Waldorf inspired spiral calendar. If you're not familiar of the philosophy or behind the concept of this Waldorf calendar, I would suggest that you do some reading, watch some YouTube videos as I did. Now, when I first discovered this calendar, I thought, wow, that's beautiful. And then I thought, wow, what a wonderful visual representation for my children to understand one of the astronomical events that do make our calendar, and that's Earth's complete orbit around the sun. So rather the flat calendar, this circle calendar makes complete sense for a child to understand that spiral or that circle of the days of the year, of the days of the week, of the months of the year. So we use this in addition to the flat calendar. Okay, so for the base of our calendar is a tree trunk that can be purchased at any craft store. I stacked my coupons and I paid about $9 for it. Now let's start with the outermost part, and all those acorns that you see sitting on top of circles that I hot glued there, those represent the days of the month. So I have 31 circles, and I made the circles out of wool felt, and I chose wool because it is a natural material, a lot better quality than acrylic felt as well. Now, in the Waldorf philosophy, they do have what they call a color rhythm. So for each day of the week, for each month of the year, there is a specific color. And again, we're not strictly Waldorf. We're not a Waldorf homeschool, so I didn't follow that exactly, but I did choose hues color hues in that color rhythm. So I chose different hues of pinks and purples and yellows and blues, and I think it made it look absolutely beautiful. It looks rainbow-esque. And again, I have 31 of those felt circles. And to mark off our days, just like you would on a flat calendar, we are using acorns, which is a popular manipulative for the autumn season. Once winter comes around, we might use blue gems or stones or something of that sort, but that's how we mark off our days of the month. So once the littles are a little bit older and they can handle a smaller manipulative, I'm thinking that I'm going to drill holes in place of these felt circles, and I'm going to use beautiful glass beads to drop in and represent and mark off our days of the month. Okay, to represent our daily weather, I made weather discs, and these are just from the craft store as well. They're all small wooden discs or rounds, and I really did get tired of making peg people at this point, which is why I went for the discs. I'm not crazy about how they turned out. Maybe once I'm inspired again, I'll make weather peg people, but for now, we're using these to represent and mark the weather of each day. Also, once we're done with an astronomy unit that we have coming up, I will be making discs to represent moon phases. And also from the craft store are the small tree branch discs, and they give height and depth to the base and to the calendar, and they also make perfect stands in homes for additional seasonal peg people. Here I made days of the week peg dolls with gnome hats just to make it a little different, and I wrote the different days of the weeks with paint markers. And again, those match the color rhythm that I have here, because it is both of these are representing the days of the week is what I'm trying to say here. And those gnome days of the week ideally want to be in a spiral or circle as well. My kids just mess with them, so they're a little bit out of order, but you want to have those going in a full circle, just as I do with the months of the year. So you can see I have them in a circle here, and just as the color rhythm for the days of the week, there's also a color rhythm for the months of the year. So springtime, there are green hues, and going into summer goes yellow, fall, reds and oranges, and winters are blue hues. And I made these the same way, paint marker to write the month, and then wool, but rather than gnome hats, I gave them scarves to make them a bit different. And they are circling this bigger tree trunk, which I eventually want to stain. I don't want to paint it, so I have to figure out a way to stain it yellow, because I want that representing the sun, and then again the months of the year, or representing the full orbit, Earth's orbit around the sun. While I am getting tongue-tied here and cannot speak, that means that this video is probably long enough. Okay, we're almost done here, and if you're still watching, thank you for hanging out. Alright, so on top of what is supposed to be, eventually will be the sun, we have my month of the year pegged all. So we have November, and then our seasonal queen, which this season is autumn. Okay, the camera focused. So I made her the same way as I did the others, paint and then a bunch of wool fabric. So I gave her a cloak with wool felt, a scarf with wool yarn, the hair is also yarn, and yeah, her leaf crown is beautiful. And then our day of the week, and representing the date, so the digits, I just have these wooden blocks also from the craft store, and I use paint marker to make those. So I have our three other seasons: spring, summer, and winter. And these turned out beautiful with the exception of winter. I'm not convinced. I don't like her hair. And I feel like she needs a little bit more sparkle, so maybe some silver embroidery thread will do here on the gnome hat. We'll see. I will jazz her up. One last note, and that is on our nesting cups. If you have peg dolls, you want nesting cups. They make the perfect beds, hiding spots, homes, boats. The imaginative play that comes from pairing the peg dolls and those nesting cups is endless and has been absolutely beautiful to watch. And that's it. As usual, I hope that you did enjoy this video, but most of all, I hope that this video gave you some inspiration in one form or another. Thanks so much for watching.